Hello, Brian. I hope you're doing well. I want to go over the fixed asset management system with you. Please take notice that I'm actually in the sandbox. I believe it's sandbox one I'm currently in. When we're doing this together, maybe we can do it in sandbox two, or we could do it in here, or we can do it in production. If you want to do it together, if you want to go through this process together, just kind of want to introduce you to the first, like the navigation. So everything we're going to be doing is mostly underneath the fixed assets. And the first thing I want to bring attention to is the system setup. And all of this has already been pre-configured, but it's just one thing I want to bring attention to is first off right here, you have it listed that only these people in these roles can make changes to assets, can change asset information. No one else in any other role. So it's the CPM accountant, the accountant, and the administrator. The other thing I want to bring attention to is that when they're doing depreciation journal entries, there are several ways that you can actually decide how you want to summarize it. Currently, it's based off of asset type. We could set it up to summarize some other area, but right now it's based off of asset type. This brings me to the next subject matter I want to bring you to is actually asset types. So asset types, this is like the fundamentals of NetSuite, is that you can build asset types for the type of assets that you have. As you can see here in your system, you have office equipment, office computer and equipment, leaseholder improvements, and furniture and fixtures. And this is essentially builds the grounding of your assets. So just to do some pre work, how NetSuite actually works is that within these asset types, you are setting up these accounts. And when you have a transaction, whether it's a journal entry or a vendor bill that hits these accounts stipulated here, that will trigger a script in the system that when it's run, it's called asset proposal or asset creation, which we'll also get into. It will scan the computer for all the transactions that hit this account. Once this if it's been hit this account, it'll show up into a menu, and the menu will give you the option to create the asset and all the details of the asset. So right now you have this asset type set up, and just kind of go over the details. You have it set up here. You have 36 months. 36 months is the lifetime. The residual value percentage is 0%. This is just kind of like the basis. When you're actually creating the asset, you could also change these two matters, but this is kind of like the precursor information. That's it. This is based off of acquisition. We're doing monthly depreciations. And then you can say this is the accounts that we hit, right? So asset, computer, equipment depreciation. So that's the accumulated depreciation count. You can see here the account tracking the accumulated depreciation. And then this is depreciation. This is depreciation expense account. The write-off accounts if you're going to dispose of the asset or you're going to do a write-down, right? I'm just going to show it real quick here. I'm going to go to create new. I'm not actually going to create one, but let's say you guys decide to buy vehicles for your team. Maybe you can do vehicle, right? And then you can do vehicles for driving. You say this is going to last 120 months. We're going to say that this is the residual value is 10%. And the accounting method is we're going to do something 200% double declining, right? And then we're going to go to this general. We're going to say, hey, we are going to depreciate it actively. We have to make sure we pick the correct custodian. We have to pick someone that's actually actively using the account. I'm going to choose Brian as a custodian of it. The depreciation rules is that's depreciation as of acquisition, right? We can also do mid-month or pro rata. We're going to do acquisition based off this. And then revision rules is if we're going to end up revising it, do we want to revise the remaining life or do we want to revise from the current period? We're going to leave this empty since it's not required. There's this disposal item over here. I haven't used it before, but if you want to dispose of something, you can list it as a certain item. This can be charged to a certain account, but we're not going to use this. The last one is like the fiscal year it's starting, and we're going to say year. Right now it says depreciation period annually. Right. And then the accounts we're going to set up to be the asset account. We have vehicles right here, so that's perfect. So that's a fixed asset account that's going to go to. It's required to be a fixed asset account. We're going to choose the accumulated depreciation here. Depreciation account we're going to say is, let's just do depreciation, right? I'm going to do the top level one, write-off account. It's going to be the loss account, loss and disposal of assets. Loss and disposal of assets, right? And then loss and disposal of assets. All right, so we're going to actually do this. We're going to go ahead and hit save. We can also put some maintenance information in here. I don't know if you guys actively use this, but this is a place you can put some maintenance information. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. All right, so we just create a new asset type. There's also an option to hit operating leases. I don't think you have any operating leases from what I can see, but you could hit an option to do operating leases as well. The next item we're going to move on to is the depreciation methods, and then the alternative depreciation methods, right? So you're going to see that these are all the GAAP depreciation methods. This is what we post into your books, right? Listed here. But however, the alternative depreciation methods are oriented towards the tax depreciation methods, right? And so I think we're going to see in more detail as we jump into the actual analysis of the assets, right? So next item I'm going to jump into is I'm going to look at the assets we currently have. All right, so I'm going to bring your attention to some of the assets that have been created. And so these are actually the assets I've created recently as I was testing your guys' account. You can see that this is the asset that's been created from the past. And we're going to just go to quick analyzation. So you can see here that when you actually do the asset, it adopts, based off of the office computer equipment, it adopts the asset lifetime. Oh, so real quick, I actually want to go back to the asset types in here. You can see we can save the asset lifetime 84 hours, 84 not hours, months, and then this is 36, right? And then based off that, you can see this is office equipment has been set at 36. Depreciation period is monthly. Once you want to actually go into the details, current net book value is $460. Cumulative depreciation is $2,856, right? So this shows a bunch of really good information. We can actually go a little bit deeper. Let's go to the general, and we can see last time it's been depreciated. The last depreciation period was 9/2. The last depreciation date was 9/30, which I just ran just recently. You can see the original bill that this was brought in by here. We're going to be going over this, that this bill, since it was coded this account with this memo, it got all this information got pulled into, oh, I might have lost it. It got pulled into this right here, right? And so you can see depreciation is active, last depreciation period. We can continue going. We can see that the accounts that are hitting, oh, you can see the locations, department, all this type of stuff is actually pulled from this bill. Right. And then the accounts, if you have any associated insurance, if you have any associated maintenance that you have set up. Next is we can set up the tax methods. So if you wanted to set up unique tax methods for this too and keep your tax, it won't post to your book GL, but be there for reports to give to your tax accountants. Right? These are tax methods. We can see depreciation history, but this is oriented towards tax, right? If you want to scroll all the way to the right here, we can see here depreciation history. We can see that it's been getting depreciated, start date. We can go jump into a little bit more details of it. And we can see some more information of the fixed asset depreciation here, right? And it's telling kind of like the cycle. We can actually jump over into this. And we can see that this is what happened. Remember, we wanted grouping by type, right? So this is most probably a combination of several different fixed assets being recognized on this as well. Um, the other item I wanted to show you on here is, I believe this was it that I wanted to show you. Next, I'm going to jump over into how to create a asset. Next I'm going to jump into how to look at reports. So NetSuite has some really good report functions, and so you can actually generate your own reports. So some of these are reports I've actually created. Let me go ahead and clean some of this out. All right, so you can see these are some of the reports I created. One was a depreciation monthly report, all the way from the start date, I said February, all the way to the day. And it came out as a PDF or XML file. The PDF, I'll go ahead and download it again so we can see it. You can see this is kind of like what it looks like, and this is what you guys can give your auditors just to make sure it's being used. And you can see the journal entry that's tied to, right? And you can actually see the fixed depreciation based off of the journal types, based off of here, right? You can see all the journals that it's been getting worked through, right? The next item I wanted to show you was this was the month as well, and then I want to show you there's also an option to hit that download this XML and go ahead and open up in Excel, which I also want to show you. This is also what it looks like in Excel once you download the XML file here as well. Right, you can see that the fixed asset it's being related to as well in the day, and you can organize this in any way that you like. Creating a report is also kind of straightforward, but it's a little complicated, so I'm going to go ahead. The next step I'm going to show you is actually how to create an asset. So let me go ahead and we do that by creating a vendor bill. All right, so we're going to do enter bills. We're going to say test asset proposal test. I'm going to go ahead and actually put this on the standard form to kind of avoid the requirements. So test asset proposal test. Please be patient with me as I figure this out. I'm going to say this is approved. So this is myself. Create a test vendor. And we're going to say we actually Caleb filled in, and we're going to actually create two. So I'm going to do one based off of the fixed asset. That has to be one of these fixed asset accounts. So I'm going to say one of the vehicles, and I'm going to say this is 85,000, and vehicle for driving. This apartment is here. So I'm going to say administration. Class, I'm just putting stuff. I'm going to say accounting. I'm going to say location. I'm going to say Miami. Because all this information will be pulled over. The other cool thing is that you can actually do it line by line level. But let's say we bought this, and then we also bought a new desk from the same company. Right, so I'm going to go back to fixed assets. Right, I'm going to say furniture and equipment. Oh, I'm going to say actually. This is a new desk, furniture and fixtures. I'm going to say 1,500 because it's a really nice desk. That's for new office secretary entrance. Please be patient with me as I figure this out. Do this, that, do this. Pennsylvania. Excellent. Now that we have this, we go ahead and hit save. Oh, it's requiring a data bill, which is actually on this custom tab. Right, I'm gonna say this happened actually August 1st. Just give me a moment. All right, I successfully saved it. Now I'm going to jump over into asset proposal. So there's actually two ways to do this. There's actually asset creation and asset proposal. I'm going to go ahead and do asset proposal. I think it's the cleaner way to do that, just by going fixed assets, transactions, and asset proposal. We do it for asset proposal because it gives you an option of which ones you want to create. So let's say, which I did see this happen with you guys, let's say there's 100 different items hitting this GL account, right? And you don't want to create fixed assets for all those items that you're going to depreciate. So you just want to create ones for certain ones. This is going to give you the option to pick and choose. If you did asset creation, you would have to do all of them, right? It automatically creates all of them. It's going to be for Caleb Systems, and I'm going to do vehicles, and I'm going to do furniture and fixtures is what I did before, right? I'm going to propose new assets. When it does this, what happens, it's actually running a script in the background. This isn't native NetSuite. This is actually an add-on that they created. So they're running a script in the background. We have to wait for the script to be completed. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause while it completes. Real quick, you can see that's in progress. It's proposing the new assets now. So actually what happened was this user error popped up. I'm actually happy that this popped up, so I can actually show you what happened. So this says it's user error 1559 customer record proper caretaker, right? So this actually has to do with the custodian. So let's look at this asset type real quick. And we can actually see with this furniture and fixtures, when we go down here in this general account, we can see that this custodian is Andreas Klump, right? And this person is not an active employee in you guys' system, so we just have to change this to someone that is. So we're going to change it over to Brian Elwin, right? Now that we do that, we're going to go ahead and do the whole asset proposal again. This is capturing all the assets between this period. Oh, asking for subsidiary. Let's go. I'm going to pause this while this is happening. It's going to run the script again, and I'll show you when it's completed. Good news, the script has run and it has been successful. We can see here, we can just go hit details for fun to see what pops up. It tells us it's been created correctly, which is happy. Assets proposed, 2 new assets. So let's go ahead and look at it. So transactions. Now let's do manage asset proposal. All right, so now we can see here, these are all the assets that have been proposed. That has essentially been hitting right. Oh. So let's check out this journal. Right. As this pulls up, you can see that these are all the assets that have been proposed. Right. It's been hitting these asset types, these journal accounts. Right. And once we pull this up, we can see here. Let's view it. Let's go ahead and view it. You can see that it's hit this account, which triggered that within the time window that we stipulated, right? So we do not want to do the asset creation. I'm going to show you what happens to the asset creation, but we don't want to do the asset creation. We want to do manage asset proposals. We can see here it's by ABC order. So I'm going to say of the 146, it's going to be the final ones, I believe. And we can see here furniture and fixtures and the vehicle, right? So we're going to have these two be created. Generate assets. Involving these other ones, we can also click these ones if we never want to create these into a fixed asset, and we can actually hit reject proposals. All right, so asset creation is beginning through the queue. I'm going to hit pause as it's being created. All right, now you can see that the asset generation has completed, and by proxy, create this other generate depreciation schedule. So depreciation schedule will be the schedule depreciation in the future, and this will impact its forecasting. Right? Schedule values, process 2. So you kind of just jump into that, figure out what that means. Now I'm going to show you what these assets actually look like. You can see them here now. These just created. Right. You can see here we only have office equipment, right? So it's not going to be listed. So if we switch them to all, that was created. We can see here, this was the desk. Let's open this one up. And then this is the driving vehicle for driving. And this is all the information you can put it in here. This is kind of what's been pulled over, all these residual values. However, you can change any of this, right? So we go ahead and hit edit. We want to jump in and actually say this desk is extra special, so it's going to actually be 96 months. And yep, we want it to auto adjust, that's fine. And the residual value is actually going to be 250. Add status is new, right? And then we can go over here and we can set up this information. You see how this was all pulled over? Here, the custodian is Brian. Purchase date, this was the purchase date on the vendor invoice, right? The bill date, and then we can say we want the depreciation to start. We actually bought this at the beginning of the month, right? Update, perfect, last depreciation period 0. We don't have to worry about any of this. This hasn't been filled out yet because it hasn't been depreciated. We can see the vendor invoice it's related to here. We can see it starts as of acquisition. It's going to be depreciated. We can put information about the manufacturer. If this was tied to a purchase order that became the vendor bill, we can also tie that here as well. We can go over here to tax methods. We can add tax methods. This can help us create reports in the future. Once we dispose of this asset, which we'll do later in the video, disposal information will be listed here. Maintenance, you can set up maintenance as well. Also, once we're completed, this depreciation history will be listed here as well. Right, so you can see here. So you can see that it's already set up depreciation for the rest of the year. This is the schedule, and but you see there's no posting references here. So this is great. Is there anything I missed? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit save on this. Yes, we do. This is good. This is good. I'm gonna go ahead and hit pause this video and show what would have happened if we would have done asset creation. Actually, I'm not going to do asset creation. I just want to explain that if we would have done asset creation, essentially all of these assets would have automatically been created. All of them, right? We wouldn't be able to go in here and say we wanted to reject these ones or we want to accept these certain ones. And this is being rejected. That is good. The next thing I want to show is how do we say, hey, it's the end of the month, now it's time to run the depreciation. You'll be running this monthly. So the monthly depreciation will be done right here. You're going to choose the assets that you want to do on. So we're going to say it's vehicle. We're going to say all of them. We're going to say Caleb Systems. Depreciation period is as of the end of this month. Depreciation. I'm going to hit depreciate assets. You can see a script is going to run again. I'll hit pause once the script runs. Perfect. You can see it's in process working now. Real quick, I want to show you guys this reset at values was oriented towards me changing the date and the salvage value. And now it's funding the asset depreciation, and you can see it's creating journal entries right now. You can see that it's being completed, no issues whatsoever. I just always like to hit details just because I'm curious. Let's see what want to tell me what information they gave me. You can see here, since we're not having anything to do with related records, has nothing to do with compound assets or anything to do with tax method, those tasks weren't completed. However, it did update the asset records, prepare data to update records, create the journal entries, and then generate depreciation schedule values for the future, right? All right. This is great news. Now let's go look at them as fixed assets. Well, actually, let's generate some reports, right? So you see these are the reports I've already created, right? And you can just pull them up every time, and you can create them, and it holds them for 30 days, right? However, maybe you need to create a new report. So you go down here to fixed assets, reports, generate report. You can choose a report type. We're going to do the depreciation monthly report. Yeah, we're going to do the depreciation monthly report. I'm going to say the start date was this day. This is the end date. We're going for Caliph systems. And we're going to say all of them. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. It's also going to have to run a script. Again, this is not native NetSuite. This is all something that's been added on, and it's a Suite app. While it's waiting, we can actually go ahead and just jump in and look at different fixed assets and see what information they give us there, right? So all these new assets were created, and you can see some that has been depreciated. The current net book value is 1486, and we just brought it in the other day. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. You can see here what's going on. The residual value is 250. Everything that we did here. Let me go ahead and hit depreciation history here. We can see what is going on. And we can see that it's been depreciated with this journal entry here. See what this opens up to. And this is going by grouping by asset type based off of what we chose in here. It's grouping in here. Let me show you. Just a full circle based off what we set up in system setup here. It's grouping by asset type. That's how it's showing the journal entry. Then it's also seems to be divided by location as well. All right. So that's the asset depreciation. Let's see if the report has been created now. My reports, let's see if it's been completed. You can see it's here, and it's created 725. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to look at the PDF. And you can see here in the report, you can see all the different assets that were depreciated and what journal entry they were in. This brings me to the next aspect. You can actually set up how you want these reports to be customized. And then also take note, there are several different types of reports. I just generated one as an example, but they are asset register, asset summary, depreciation schedule, net book value, all these as well. And these seem to be reports that were created as well. Schedule 16, Schedule 16, Schedule 16. I didn't create these. I haven't used these. These must have been created by the system. And then if none of these work, you can actually create your own asset type, report type. And you can say you want to add these certain things to the report. You want to add an additional column, right? To these reports, you can add additional columns and move them around as you wish. So if these reports don't satisfy your need, we can get the information that you need in there. All right. So that's downloaded. That looks good. The last thing I want to show you is asset disposal, right? So the next thing I want to show you is just asset disposal. So we're going to go over here. Asset disposal is pretty straightforward. We go in there. We can decide the asset disposal type. This is going to be a sale or a write-off, right? It's going to be a sale. The whole transaction will look completely different. But we're going to do a write-off, right? Because if it was a sale, it would say to which customer, but a write-off it does not. We say asset disposal date. We're going to say we sold it beginning of the month. And which asset did we sell? We are actually selling this vehicle. We say, no, we don't want them to have it. We're going to sell it. Or we're going to write it off, or whatever it might be. This example, actually, let's do sale. And then we can up to the sales amount of $25,000 here. Right? We can do sale, but I'm gonna go back to write-off because I know that's what you guys are doing specifically. So the sales, you see the sales amount is not listed. Go ahead and hit dispose. It's gonna run the script again. You can see that the script is running. I'll show you what it looks like once it's completed. Actually, while it's completing, I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of this time and show you that there are also several save searches that are very good here. Right, so we're gonna look at disposal, we're gonna look at the asset list, asset register, and I don't believe you'll actually be using any of this. But just to pull up these other ones, you can see this is some good lists that have already been created. This is the asset register list. It tells you a bunch of really good information here. You have these different navigation styles here. You have asset disposals. These are all different assets that have been written off so far. This is the test asset, and the vehicle for driving is being currently written off. Right? And then, see, this is being completed. This is the background processing as well. If you ever need to get back to this page, this is the link that you would use. Oh, it's been completed. Good news. Let's go ahead and take a look at that asset now. We want to look at disposal entries. We want to look at the actual asset. We're going to do recently created. You can see it's right here. 85,000 current net book value 0. Let's take a look at it. Oh, for some reason it's not showing here currently. Oh, because there's only one save search command at a time. But we can see here real quick how everything's set up. Depreciation history. It's been disposed of. Asset status disposed. Let's look at it. We can also look at the sub tab over here. We can see that it's been written off. And then we can see here these are different items that happened. Disposal, fixed asset disposal, entry 14. Listed here. This is the full demo of their fixed assets. I wanted to get this video out and done for you. I went over quite a lot. If there are any parts that you want me to jump into and just make sub videos for you, or I'd be more than happy to meet with you and go over this as well. Hope you're doing well, and thank you.